Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee Chats with English on Autopilot, where we talk about a lot of different topics and I do not have a script. Everything is natural, everything is as if I was talking to you and you were my friend and we were sitting down with a cup of coffee. This is a place for you to sit back, relax, learn English with comprehensible input while you enjoy a beverage, whether it be coffee, tea, anything you like. Make sure to put in the comments what you drink while you watch these videos. Maybe it's hot chocolate, which is very popular in the United States, especially right now. Now, the topic of today is going to be something that I think is really interesting because I've had this conversation with a lot of people from different countries. I've talked about different experiences, how it is in their home country, and I've compared it to the United States and to my own experience. And that's moving out of your parents' house. Another way that we say it in English is flying the nest. Like a bird, right? Eventually a bird grows up, and when it's ready to fly, well, the parents kick it out of the nest. They kick the bird out of the nest. They say, you're too old to live here. Really, it's a test if the bird is able to fly or not. Luckily, unlike birds, if someone were to fail, normally parents would allow the bird to come back to the nest. But in nature, the bird normally falls and dies, right? The bird only has one chance. And speaking of that, parents, when the kids leave, when the kids are gone, the parents are called empty nesters. Empty nesters. If you ever hear anyone say, me and my husband were empty nesters, me and my wife were empty nesters, that means that they had children, they have children. But the children don't live at home. The children have flown away from the nest. They've left. And we call them empty nesters. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. Leaving the nest, leaving home. In the United States, that normally happens when someone is 18 years old. When you turn 18, it's not the day of your birthday. Your parents don't say, okay, today you turn 18, gone, bye. No, normally a very common way is that it's marked by the child, by the teenager at that point, they're 18, when they leave for college. It's a natural progression because most of the time, a student or a young person, they want to go to college somewhere else. Not in their city. And even if it's the same city, well, they might want to live outside of their parents' house. It's normal in the United States. And I remember when I was in high school, me and my friends, we always talked about leaving home, going to college somewhere else. And the majority of my friends, almost every single friend I had, they moved, they left, they went to another city, some went to other states, and they left home. A few stayed at home, and later they left, which is another option and is not uncommon. Sometimes people don't leave home for a year, 2 years, 4 years until they finish college. Sometimes, if it is convenient, because let's be real, let's be honest, when you live outside of your parents' house, when you live on your own, it's expensive. You need to pay for rent and a lot of things that you don't realize. Maybe for some of my friends, staying at home meant that their parents were going to pay for the rent. They didn't. My friend living there, they didn't have to pay rent to their parents. And sometimes the parents, they paid for the groceries, the food, and things like that. So a good deal for them. Whereas those of us that had left, those of us that had flown away from the nest, that have left home, we were paying rent, we were paying for food, and of course, uh, hopefully, parents, if one of their kids were struggling, would help a little bit, would maybe send some money or things like that. And a lot of us worked. We worked while we studied and worked over the summers while we weren't studying to be able to pay for it. So there's an argument there. Is it worth it moving out? The freedom, the independence, that's one of the biggest things that calls to an 18-year-old, right? You're young, but you're growing up. You're becoming an adult. And what do you want? You want freedom. You want to go out on your own. You don't want your parents to tell you, you better be home by 11 o'clock, by 11 p.m. You better be home. You better be here. No, the kid says, I'm 18 in the United States. When you're 18, you are legally an adult. And they say, no, I'm an adult. I want to go home when I want. I want to go out till 4 in the morning. But if they live with their parents, I understand. I understand that the parent says, no, you live here. You live here. That means you're home by 11. I understand the parents. But for me and my friends, we always talked about leaving. And that was my plan. When I was looking for colleges while I was in high school, I didn't look anywhere very close to home. I ended up going somewhere pretty close to home. Being in the United States, it was about 7.5 hours driving. With traffic, it could be 8 hours. Not bad, 7.5 hours in the car. And flying was an hour. Flying was only an hour. So for the United States, that's very close. And I went to university, I went to college. We would say college in the United States. Normally, university is more in the UK. But I went to college in the same state. I grew up in the north of Nevada, in the northern part of Nevada, northern Nevada. I grew up in a small town, Carson City, Nevada, very small. And I moved south to Las Vegas. And of course, my parents were worried, right? Of course, my parents were nervous because Las Vegas is a city that's famous for not good things, for things that are negative, for vices, such as gambling, drinking, things that are not very good for you. Paying for people to love you, if you know what I'm saying, you understand. In Nevada, prostitution, paying for sex is legal. And in certain places, in certain areas, not everywhere. It can't be in the middle of the city. But I was 18. My parents were obviously worried that I was going to go and party. When you're 18 and you go to college, it's normal that 18-year-olds, when they go to college, they want to go out more. They want to socialize. They want to drink, even though it's illegal in the United States. You can't drink until you're 21. But of course, college kids, they leave and they want to be adults. They want to see what they've seen, they want to do. They've seen movies, shows, family, whatever, drink, and they want to join. They want to do it. And my parents were obviously worried. They wanted me to go to college, to study, to learn, and to swim. And I now sitting here today, now I'm 27. I haven't lived at home for 9 years, almost 10 years now. And I understand. I think of my mom driving me to Las Vegas to drop off her son, to drop off her first child. I was my mom's first child. And she was worried, she was scared, she was nervous, she had all these feelings, and of course, sad. I think most of the parents are very sad because their kid is leaving. And you don't see them as often. You don't spend much time with them compared to when they lived at home. And so we went down, and I was so excited. Of course, I'm going to college. It's a whole new world. I'm becoming an adult. I'm moving out on my own. My life is starting. And next to me, my mom in the car is obviously very sad. My mom, she's smiling. She's, doing her best to appear happy. But it's understandable. She was sad, nervous, scared, all these emotions. Where I'm over there, this is great, excellent, I can't wait. When we get there, the first day, we get there, we stay at a hotel, and I'm moving into the dorms the next day. The next day is when I move into the dorms. Dorms are where students live. Generally, students live there a year. They can live there longer. Some students live there the entire time they're in college. Some live there for the first 2 years, first 3. Depends. But normally, the first year. After that, students move off campus. They live in apartments or houses together because they know people. Now they have friends and they can share an apartment. They can share in a house. And it's even cheaper. The dorms are expensive. The dorms are super expensive. But it's a good transition because at the dorms, you have what you need. You have the furniture is there, the bed, the desk, your wardrobe to put all your clothes. It's all there. Also, on college campuses, they have cafeterias. They have places where they make food for the students, and you can buy a meal plan. So you can have this many meals or unlimited meals, and it helps, right? You're 18, maybe you don't cook, maybe you've never cooked, and they help you adjust. So for 1 year, the dorms are great. The dorms are a lot of fun because there's 18-year-olds, you're all friends, you meet a lot of people. But most dorms, you share a room. That's right. You share a room. You sleep in the same room as someone else. And I had a roommate. We shared the same room. I think now of sharing the same room, and it's crazy. I don't know. Not every college is like this. Mine was, and I had a great time. I loved it. But after a year, I was ready to leave the dorms. Anyway, I digress. We check into the hotel. We're checking out the city. We're going places. And I'm so excited. Because Las Vegas is known for bad things, but there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of fun things and exciting things. And I was seeing the future, right? I was seeing the future. And the next day, when we moved in, my mom was very sad. And I was very excited. And all the other 18-year-olds were very excited. And all the parents were very sad. Luckily, it worked out. I've lived away from home since that moment, basically. I lived at home for 2 months before I moved to Spain because of COVID and things like that, because of the coronavirus and some logistics planning to make it easier to move to Spain. But other than that, I haven't lived at home. And I've lived in apartments, I lived in houses, and now I've lived in another country by myself and sharing places, but without my parents. And for a lot of people, they think it's crazy. They think, especially in Spain, for example, Spain is a culture where the children don't leave home to go to college. Normally, sometimes they do. Normally, they stay at home. But it's common that children also move out at 18 to go to college, but less than the United States. Sometimes in Spain, people stay at home until they get married. until they're ready to move in with their future husband or wife, which to me seems like a long time. That seems a little too much time to be at home. And I've heard different stories from other people, and a lot of my friends I met in college from other countries, and it's more like the United States. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that people move out when they're 18, but I don't think they need to. I don't think you have to. For me, it was good because it helped me grow up. It helped me become more responsible. I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned from it and I became more responsible, more of an adult. If I would have stayed at home, it would have taken longer to learn all of those things. So I think that worked out. But I think it's important that sometimes we understand people, they fail and they need to move back home, especially now where things can be very expensive. Sometimes it happens. And a lot of the times people think or they view those people as failures. You had to go back home. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Sometimes those people are smart. They say, I'm going to go back home for 2 years, save a ton of money, and move out and buy a house or buy an apartment. So it could be a good idea. What about in your country? When do people normally move out? And when did you move out? Have you moved out? Put it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to keep watching more videos of comprehensible input and having more coffee with me right here with English on Autopilot. We'll see each other in the next video. Bye.